Hello, hi, welcome. Welcome to this
Hi.
episode of Ask the Cheese.
Oh,
Today we have Crystal.
I made my grand entrance.
Yeah,
Off.
I mean, I never really tell people just how long I'm going to talk in the beginning. This is also not like your classic podcast that's like, we're going to talk for 5 minutes and pretend the guest isn't here and then bring them in, you know?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
So,
I thought you were going to say something else, so I was going to take a drink of water, but
no, I wasn't. But go ahead and drink your water, and it won't be an awkward pause.
no, it's
Sing a
down.
little harmony so that there's no awkward silence in between.
Well, thank you for joining us. I also was just immediately reminded of kind of our crazy, like, or unexpected, like, history slash past together, because we met when we were both living and working in Turkey, and your brother went to college with me, and we went to Turkey through the same person, but
Yeah.
like, different ways. Yeah, and so the world is like so small and so cool. And then there was somebody else there, Jerica, who uh, she went to Turkey and I went to college with her, and she also went there because of Greg.
Oh, I didn't know that you knew her before, or that like she knew Greg.
Yeah, we had like hung out once or twice, like dorm living freshman
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
She was better friends with like one of my really close guy friends. But that was, freshman, sophomore year. And I don't know, college freshman, sophomore year, like you're just trying to survive. So
But I think college freshman year is a good time. I think trying to make as many friends as possible, right? Like when you're 18, you're like, yeah, dude, I'll be friends with anyone. Now it's like it's a little more difficult,
well,
right?
I say like trying to survive because yeah, like part of it is like figuring out who you are, but then also like, yeah, I'll try these pair of pants on, I'll put this sweatshirt on for a little bit. And you know, sometimes you realize like 2 years later, like, oh, this isn't actually a good relationship. Not, I don't want to say that anyone that we have just mentioned that that's applicable
It's
for.
like, yeah, not a cool person and you should not be friends with him.
This is my own baggage that I'm obviously just like inputting on. Uh, I recorded an episode with a friend of mine, and we talked about like relationships. And then I also like it's also because I had my own epiphany of somebody that I was friends with, and just kind of like, wow, that was not a healthy relationship for me. And I really thought like that we were best friends, and I couldn't survive without them. And look at me now.
Good for you. But I feel like that is a really common experience. Like we were talking about making friends like as an adult and how there are certain, I don't know, it's just like a totally different experience for everyone. But I feel like I've also had adult relationships where I'm like, actually, maybe it's kind of better that we aren't friends. Like there is still a piece of me that's always like, I miss you and I appreciate our friendship. And I feel like you were a good friend, but also you're a little crazy. And so maybe it's okay. We're not friends, you know?
Yeah, I think also we put a lot of onus and a lot of value, or maybe that's not even the right word I want to use, but we put maybe emphasis, we put a lot on a relationship that we have. And when it
Mm-hmm.
ends, it feels very personal and very hard and very hurtful. And all of those things may be true, but sometimes there are just people I think that are meant to be in your life for just like a little bit. Um, I kind of think of it as like going on the train. Like you go on the train for your journey, and sometimes people come on and people come off. Sometimes people stay with you the whole time. Sometimes you get off and they continue. Yeah, and I think that I think that sometimes people think if you're not friends with anyone, if you don't have the same relationship, it's a negative thing, and I don't necessarily agree with that.
No, yeah, that makes total sense. That's a solid analogy also. The coming and going of people in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people get back on, yeah, and obviously we're hoping that we find people that continue the whole journey with us, but I think also
Some of us are totally okay with like being alone forever. I was convinced for the longest time that I was like not going to be with anyone ever.
is that
That's okay that works for some people, I think.
yeah. I mean, sometimes I think that I will just like, I'm just gonna be that aunt that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
That just like kind of does her own thing. Sometimes she's dating someone, sometimes she's not. Like sometimes she's living in a different country, sometimes she's not, you know. Yeah. Sometimes she has 12 dogs, sometimes she has one cat, you know.
No, it's awesome. You'll be like one of the millennials that like totally defy like all of society's like standards for what like an adult woman should be doing, you know?
If if that isn't everything that I have always strived to be. Since I was a child, I have always tried to be like, oh, you're going to tell me that I need to go left? I'm going to go right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm such a punk.
No, it's good though. I have a cousin who's about 33 now. She's in her early 30s. And she has a partner that she's not married to, and they've been together forever, for like 10 years now. And I remember talking to them when I was like 19 and being like, I don't want kids, and like that's not for me, and I don't want to be married. That's like not what I see for my life. And they were the first people that sat down and were like, yeah, dude, so like don't do it. Like it's totally okay that you don't want to have children. Like, and I was like, I remember being like, sitting there with like my burger and fries, like, this is really awkward. Actually, I was not expecting you guys to be totally okay with me not wanting to have children and get married, but it was awesome. And like, they're still just like, you know, doing their own thing. And like, yeah, this is what you guys think I should be doing. And like, just kind of live their lives, you know? I'm like, good for you. I want to live that carefree.
No adult.
Seriously.
That this was an option. Well, this actually kind of like nicely goes into one of my segments called Pass the Cheese, where I compliment the guest. And, you know, like I knew this was coming up, so I was thinking about this and ruminating. And you very much are somebody who you just kind of like, you seem like you make decisions that you want to do and you follow through with them, you know, and you aren't really afraid of like, of what would happen. And you know, I even hesitate to say like fail, but like if it doesn't work out the way that you don't think it will, you adjust, and you seem like you do it so seamlessly and so confidently, and that's really admirable.
Thank you. I don't know that I'm totally confident all of the time when I'm like bouncing around. I think in the beginning, like making the decision to go to Turkey and like leaving California and like moving to New York, like all of that honestly was kind of on a whim, and it just kind of happened. But I think, like I said, when you're 19, you just want to be like, yeah, I want to experience the world, and like, you know, that's what you want to do. And so I was kind of maybe a little reckless about it when I was a bit younger. And so I'm hoping now I'm not as reckless and maybe more methodical just about how I'm trying to go about life. So definitely not afraid to fail, and have done so many times. You know, anybody will tell you that I cried myself to sleep many nights in grad school, like wanting to leave and like retreat back to my parents' like guest bedroom, you know?
Well, you know, I would say that 1920 is the time to be reckless and the time to do wild stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
I hurt my back jump roping the other week.
wait, that kills me. We went, it's funny though. It's funny. We have to laugh at it. My partner and I went to like this, okay, he's going through this like thing of like, we want to try to be outdoors as much as possible. And so at the beginning of quarantine, he picked up skateboarding, and like that's the new thing he wanted to try. And so like 2 days ago, like at the skate park, totally destroys the ankle. And I'm like, I think like maybe this isn't the thing for you. I totally appreciate your enthusiasm for the skateboard, but like maybe we're getting too old to do these things. But just like laughing through that, you know, it's still fun. Like whatever, we're old farts at the park skateboarding, like whatever, that's okay.
Yeah. I've wanted to, and a couple of friends of mine here, we wanted to start a skate gang.
Wait, like the rollerblades?
Roller skate.
Yes.
But so a friend of mine was pregnant, and so you know we had to wait until, and then of course it's Minnesota winter, so you don't want to be outside.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can now buy rollerblades from people or roller skates from people who bought them at the beginning of quarantine that did it twice and were like, this is not for me. So I want to buy, because like, you know, I don't want you to have to throw this away. Like I'm trying to reduce the plastic and the trash in the world and, you know, buy something. But yeah, but also jump roping. I was like, this is something I can do in my house that's like kind of fun. And like, you know, I don't have to get a whole lot of crazy stuff for. So
yeah.
but
No,
this is
that's
also
fun.
being in your 30s, you hurt your back from jump roping. Like
I know. It's so funny. It's like the nighttime routine now is like taking Tums before you go to sleep, you know? And like, it's like, what is my life come to? But what are you going to do? Like, I'm not going to pass on the Tums. I need them, you know? I want to get a good night's sleep. I need my solid 8, you know?
I was thinking of like when we were in Turkey, and I've never really been like a super wild person who's like, I'm just gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. And but right at the end, like the last few days before everybody was leaving, you know, our work was ending, I stayed up until like 4 a.m. And then of course, you know, you have to wake up early. And then like it was like 1 or 2 nights in a row of like hardly sleeping. And then I was leaving, like our stuff ended Friday and my flight was supposed to leave Saturday morning. I was like, I'm gonna stay up all Friday night also so I can sleep on the plane because I can't ever sleep on planes. But I was like, if I'm gonna be exhausted. But so we get home after being on this like boat cruise that like drinking. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad that we're leaving. And so I started crying because I'm always emotional.
Of course, right.
Too happy, too sad, everything in between. I cry. So I'm crying. And then Greg actually like, Amila was hugging me and Greg comes up and he's like, oh, it's okay. And then I was like laughing, like I separated from my body and I was like, homegirl, you are crying and you're laughing, but you're also like, you're crying because you're sad, but you're also crying because you haven't slept in 3 days. And like, yeah, and then I was like, Greg was like, oh, it's okay. And then it carried on way too long. And I was just like, Jackie, why are you still crying? And I couldn't stop crying. And then I was crying because I couldn't stop crying. And it was just like truly a mess. And I'm sure that Greg was like, wow.
Yeah. This is a lot right now, Jackie. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, but I have to know if you slept on the flight.
So my flight, so I you know, like 6 a.m. I leave for the airport. My flight was canceled / delayed, which they never notified me. Yeah, my flight was delayed a day and a half.
So you just sat at Ataturk Airport for a day and a half?
No. Called my parents, cried. I was like, what do I do? I was looking up flights and they're like $2,000, like last minute.
Yeah.
So no way could I afford that. So I contacted our head of our program and you know, I had checked out an hour or 2 hours earlier.
Yeah.
So I got the flight also, the airline, they gave us a free hotel. But I was like, I'm not going to spend my last night by myself in Turkey, like in this hotel, which, you know, was probably not like the smartest idea. But anyway.
Oh, did you get to go back to the dorms?
Went back to the dorms. I dropped off my really big bag of stuff and just, you know, took like a backpack or something.
Yeah.
You know. Went back to my room. Obviously, nothing had changed. It had been 5 hours. Yeah, and so
everyone's like, Jackie, what is going on? And you're just like there to like live it up one more night.
My flight was delayed a day and a half. They never told us. The only way I found out was going to the airport, and like they kept pushing it. Even when we got on the plane, we ended up like sitting on the tarmac for like another hour or two or something crazy like that. Yeah, so now I've learned, always check your flights before you leave, see if they're delayed or canceled. And the thing that like still, obviously I'm still very emotional and I still won't be able to get access. It was coming from London. So they knew, and there was an issue. Like it was in London that there was some kind of mechanical issue. So they knew it wasn't going to come to Turkey anytime soon.
Yeah.
And they never
got it. Where's the heads up?
Yeah.
Wait, but that's also an experience of like being an adult that you like we're getting older now, and like things that are painful as you get older, and travel is definitely one of those. And we're like sitting here during quarantine imagining and like fantasizing about all of the places we want to be. And even like last weekend, my partner's like, let's like go spend the weekend in New York. And I was like, oh my God, I really don't want to get in the car and drive right now for an hour and 45 minutes. Like, I can't imagine sitting on a plane for 12 hours to Turkey, you know, like, no, thank you. Can't do that anymore.
That is the one downside about travel, is the amount of time. And I always get sick. Like I always get, so I have my little C-bands bracelets. Do they work? I don't know. I always have a constant supply of Dramamine also. And it's
okay, but Dramamine works really well usually.
Yep, if you remember to bring it. And so I also have several tubes from when I've forgotten to bring it and I have to buy it.
Yeah. Dramamine was like the go-to to like stop my younger sister from like puking her brains out on the way to like Santa Cruz, you know, when you're on Highway 17.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those windy roads. We know them. Yeah. I know them very well.
Yeah, it was a fail-safe, the Dramamine, you know, like it was a necessity in my mom's minivan for rides to Santa Cruz.
My family growing up, every summer we'd go to Tuolumne, which is right outside of Yosemite Valley. Super 3-hour drive, windy the whole way, or not the whole way, because obviously you have to drive, but like the last hour and a half. So yeah, we had a coffee can for Jackie in the back seat. If she ever needed it, she often did.
Yeah. I still have the images like seared into my brain of us like stopped off on the side of the road, like going to Apple Hill or something. And like my mom just like was helping my sister stick her head out of the car window so she can like do her business. And I'm like, you guys have scarred me for life.
Well, this made me think of a very, very, very embarrassing story, if you're interested.
Of course.
I was going camping with a friend, and it was like with her family of friends. And so we're on the way. We had stopped to get some fast food. And, you know, I was a teenager, so I was trying to pretend that I was like, what cool I had. I was trying to, I had not much cool, never have, never will, which is fine. And they had a foreign exchange student like staying with them. So this student was with us. So me and my friend, we are sitting in the third row of that van. And all of a sudden I just, and of course we're sitting with the seatbelt, you know, shoulder. I catch what has evacuated my body into my mouth. But I can't move my arms to take that seatbelt off.
Oh my God.
And we have nothing for me to like put it into.
Oh my God.
I have to throw it out the door that is now open because we pulled off to the side of the road. Yeah. So that was great. So that was wonderful.
That's like the worst thing that I have very serious emetophobia, which is like fear of vomit and like vomiting and that whole thing. And so anything like that, I think I would just die. Like that would just be the end of my life. Like I couldn't handle it.
Let's never sit next to each other if we ever travel together.
Definitely not. Jackie, I love you and I respect you, but please, I can't. I also would be the worst person to be by you anyways, because I would just shut down and there would be nothing that I could do for you. Like I couldn't open that car door for you. I would be passed out, you know?
Yeah.
Useless.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was great. That was so fun.
Awesome travel stories. Just log that one in there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yep. And so we're just going to repress that again. Forget about it for another 10 years. Yeah.
With all of our other like childhood traumas, just like bury it deep, Jackie.
The amount of like emotional and personal breakthroughs that I've gone through during this pandemic, which is like good. Like I think they've needed.
Yeah.
I am exhausted. I'm done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would also argue like being a white person, a lot of these things needed to happen. I'm grateful they have, and just because I'm uncomfortable, anyway.
Yeah, but I feel like it's good. No matter what, this like personal growth that I think everyone is experiencing during quarantine, we all kind of needed it. We
Yeah.
like needed a minute to like just take a look at everything in the world and be like, okay, things are not okay, and like we've got some stuff to figure out for
Yeah.
sure.
I've definitely worked in environments where they're like, "Oh, you didn't stay up until midnight," and then like, and
Yeah.
also, you know, only ate once yesterday and only drank coffee and or like booze and yeah, and just like this one upping that we have to do all the time. And
Yeah.
we also like we do a lot of policing. I include myself in this, but especially like try not to talk too much about the pandemic, but um, I know that we are all really stressed, and a way that we are handling it is taking it out on other people.
Hmm.
And I think just acknowledging that what we're doing is important. But yeah, like I know, like I've noticed myself included, you see someone do something and you're like, "Ah, well, I would never do that." And then
Yeah.
you do something that maybe is similar or different or whatever. And you're like, well, it's okay for me, but not this person. And
Yeah. Well, Jackie, I am perfect, so I make no mistakes ever in my life. No, I'm just
well,
kidding.
you've failed twice and so you've learned everything that you need to, right? Like, as you mentioned earlier.
Wait, I missed it. What did you say?
Oh, it's just calling back to how you're like, I failed. And so like, so you've done all your failures,
Yeah.
you've learned everything.
No, I haven't learned everything. I'm still like failing my way kind of through everything. Like the whole situation we were talking about, the sidewalk permits, just kind of failing my way through that, like trying to figure it out. It's like a log, I'm just kind of doing it and like not gracefully, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Slow progress. That's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
we are kind of at the end of our time. We've kind of done my other segment of whine about it, but if there's anything in particular that you wanted to whine about, we can definitely do that. But yeah, you can also bring awareness to something if there's something that you want to talk about, or anything you want.
Oh my gosh. I told you I'm a dud. I can't be put on the spot. I
Oh,
panic. I have performance anxiety really bad.
well,
I think I'm good. I
okay.
feel satisfied.
Okay. I know that you have your own business. Would you like to talk about that, or?
Yeah, just kind of briefly. I mean, I own this really cool e-com store. It's called Sans. I actually stole the name from myself. I planned to open a gluten-free bakery and call it Sans, like without gluten.
Yeah.
But just decided to kind of do this project first. And so I source like only handmade, try to do like eco-friendly products that are everything in my store comes from women-owned businesses, which is like my whole thing. So all of the wholesalers and retailers that I'm buying from are really awesome women that are based in the US who are like doing all of this really awesome, artistry and like craft work. So check out my Instagram. You can see a lot of the stuff there from all of these other women. It's really cool. And you can support just by like liking or following the page. But
Wow.
that's it.
We love both of those things. And so it's SANS is what it's called?
It's AANN.
Oh,
SAANNS. So you
okay.
can just like search that in Instagram or Google and you should get it.
Well, I can also include it in like in this episode. So
Yeah. Yay. Cool.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for all you shared, everything. We love it. Thank you.
Bye.